Hi, today we're talking about the distributive property. So our essential question is going to be, how does the distributive property help me to solve real world problems? So we're going to look at a problem like 102 times 9. How could you break that apart to solve it? Well, what I've seen your little brothers and sisters do is something called a number bond, where they've taken 102 and said, hey, that equals 102. So they break it into two little pieces. And then maybe they would do 9 times the 100 gives you 900, and 9 times the 2 gives you 18. So you could end up with 918 on that. Well, that's the distributive property right there, where you break some piece in and then they just distributed the 9 through to everything. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do some examples and then go back into your foldable to help this make more sense. So here are a couple of rectangles. Do you remember how to find the area of a rectangle? Try this one. 7 and 10. What does that give you? You've got it. You get 70 inside of there. And if you were doing a label, it would be 70 centimeters squared, 70 something. But now, what do you do when you have m times 4, or 4 times m? You got it. It's just 4m. So I can't put them together. I just have 4 sets of m. And then over here, I would have x to the second power, or x squared. So hopefully you see how that's going one side times the other. My area gets me that. Well, we're going to move that through and use that in the distributive property. Here I want you to find the area of each box in the pair. So let's look through at this box. What do I get? 5x, you've got it. Now go over to this one. 2 times 5 gives you 10. Excellent. Try this one. 8 times w and then times 7. It's right here. 8, oops, it's w, not x. And over here, 8 times 7. Mrs. Weeks and Mrs. Snowman were driving along in a car. They were going 1 mile over the speed limit. How fast were they going? 56. Really good. So do you see that we're just finding area of boxes today? Is a great way to think of it. So then we're going to go in these boxes when I've got an x and a 7 next to each other. How do I write those? Well, I would just say x, and since it's a positive 7, just adding on 7, and that equals that whole bar. So what do you get for this one? You got it. X plus 13. Now this one, x is the whole long thing, and then I've got 6, and I want to know this red bar. So is that an adding? You're right. That is subtracting. So I'm subtracting the 6. Keep going. Now, if at any point in time I'm going too fast, the beauty of a video is you just pause it, all right? Now this one, let's see. Write the area of each rectangle as the product of length times width, and also as a sum of the areas of each box. Okay, well, let's go in and just look at this first. And in the picture, let's find the picture. So this says this side is negative 6 and this side is x. So what happens when you take negative 6 times x? Yeah, you get negative 6x. Now over here, 4 times negative 6, what do you get there? A positive times a negative is a negative, so you get negative 24. So down here it says write the area as a product. So what I see is I have negative 6 on one side. Then the other side is x plus 4. And then I close my parentheses. So now when I do that, what happens? Well, I get negative 6x minus 24. I'll put a space in there, so that's better. So the area of a product is just this times these two things. When I multiply it out, I get a sum. Now you might say, hey, but Mrs. Beaver, that's really a difference. Right, but I could write it as plus a negative 24 if I wanted to. So let's try this one. Negative 9 times x, minus 8. We got to be careful with that. So let's just check out here. Negative 9 times x gives you negative 9x Over here, negative 9 times negative 8. Negative times a negative makes positive 72. Do I have to write that plus? No, but it's going to help me in a little while. So what's my area as a product? You've got it. Negative 9. Then I put in my parentheses. And up on top, I see I have x and a negative 8. So I'm going to write x minus 8. You might say, but no. If you want to write x plus negative 8, that is just fine if you want to do a keep change in there. So then when I multiply it out, I get negative 9x. And then you found in this rectangle, you got plus 72. So that brings us to the distributive property. Basically what happens is if I have one number or letter multiplied by two things, this little guy has to go through, the A has to go to both. And so I get A times B and A times C. It's just like you just had the boxes back here. So you had 6 times x times 4, or plus 4. So if you need to draw the pictures every time, that's a great idea. If you can just see that it multiplies through, that's great. The biggest mistake people forget is they'll do 5 times x gives me 5x. But then they will forget that there's also 5 sets of 7. So this says there's 5 sets of x plus 7. So don't forget to get the 35 over here. So this should be in your foldable. So let's just try a couple of examples. If you need to draw the picture out, do. I'm just going to do it with arrows. If I had, maybe not. Okay, so here's my box. I've got 2, and then I've got 7 and minus 3D. Oh my word, now there's numbers in front? Yeah, but it's okay. What's 2 times 7? Yeah, 14. So I get 14 in there. Then what is 2 times negative 3D? Well, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then I just throw the D on there. Because this says I have 2 sets of negative 3D. So my answer is 14 minus 6A. No, that's a D. 14 minus 6D. How about this one? Oh no, the 3 is on the back. But does it matter in multiplication? No. Somebody said, I would rather write the 3 up here. Go ahead. But really, from the back, it's okay. 3 times 6m gives me 18m's. 3 times 1 gives me 3, plus sign in between. Here we go, 3 times 5t. Oh, but that's a negative. That gives me negative 15, and I've got to put the t in. Then negative 3 times, don't miss this. If you have to, keep change. Negative times a negative makes positive 6. Be really careful with those negative signs. This one, oh my gosh, it's already put out. But look at, it's just like this. It's a box saying 7 times 21 and 9. Hey, look at the 21 and the 9. Could you do anything there? You bet. I could put these together and make 30. And 30 times 7 is a lot easier. Just gives me 210. As you go through today, if you need any help, make sure you step back in. But this will be helpful. You can go in, you can watch it, you can slow it down, and hopefully that will help you. Have a fabulous night.